My name is Darniece Brown, and this is my book report presentation. What is a team? A team is a group of different individuals who makes a commitment to work together to achieve common goals. In all team sports, the objective is to win. I would say the Seattle Seahawks showed how a team can work together to accomplish the goal to win by winning the Super Bowl. Imagine if they didn't know what their purpose was, or they didn't have a shared vision, hated practicing, or ran in different directions on the field instead of focusing and protecting one another. Would they have achieved the success that they achieved? Without teamwork, they would have been dysfunctional. In most organizations, executives set the tone for how employees work with one another and on correcting dysfunctional behaviors, which is the focus, since teamwork is critical to any team. If the group consists of several individuals competing for power and recognition, it's not a team. The name of the book that I read is The Five Dysfunctions of a Team, written by Patrick Lencioni. The author uses his storytelling skills to talk about the behaviors that are dysfunctional for a team, for any team. The behaviors that he describes can apply to any team or in any relationship. Andrew Carnegie, world-renowned philanthropist, industrialist, and still King of America, said teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision, the ability to direct individual accomplishments toward organizational objectives. It is the fuel that allows common people to obtain uncommon results. Now let's talk about the book that I read for a few minutes. This book consisted of a fable and also a model. The fable talked about, we're going to talk about the fable first. The fable was about a CEO named Catherine, and the name of the company was Decision Tech. Catherine was selected to be the CEO of this company, and it was struggling to grow, and she had to find some new customers. Catherine seems to be the type of manager that recognizes independency in the organization. She was not interested in personal power, but wanted to create conditions so that human resource will voluntarily achieve the objectives of the company. In my opinion, she was a theory Y type manager because she allowed her staff to develop themselves, and she just tried to implement the model so that to help them grow. She knew that she had a great team, but she also realized that they all had their own agenda and lacked the foundation needed to grow the company. Although her team was skilled, they lacked cohesiveness, which was enabling them from meeting their goals. They were missing deadlines, employees were leaving the company, and the morale was down. So she decided that, she had to establish the following in order to create a more effective team. She had to establish a positive climate, positive relationships, positive communication, and positive meaning within the organization in order for them to grow. They had to want to come to work. She decided after her first initial assessment that everyone was going in different directions. So she knew she had to implement a plan that would get her team aligned so that they could focus and be in harmony. And she accomplished her goal by using the 5 functions of a team model. So let's look at the levels of the 5 dysfunctional team. First level is absence of trust, and it's at the root of the pyramid, but it's the most important one because without trust, they cannot they will not survive. Team members are not vulnerable with each other and are not willing to admit to mistakes and weaknesses for fear that they will be used against them. They may feel defensive. Their work is not very productive. In order to build trust, she had to be a good listener. She had to be able to engage with difficult personalities and situations that occurred. She had to know when to pick her battles with her team. A team without trust really is just a group of individuals working together, often not making good progress. No matter how talented they were not going to reach their full potential if they did not begin to trust each other. In this level, shared vision is important so that they can start to trust one another. When trust is in place, the team will begin to grow. Absence of trust, they hide their weaknesses and mistakes from one another. They won't ask questions or for help. They don't give feedback, jump to conclusions. They're afraid to open up and they waste time. And the way they can build trust is they can admit to their weaknesses, accept apologies without hesitation, conduct team member building, and create team charter. She used team learning to teach her executives how to master both the dialogue and discussions in their off-site location. She encouraged them to use dialogue to discuss complex issues, and each of them had different views and was able to defend their views, which also allowed them to get to know each other. The second level of the dysfunctional team is fear of conflict. If they don't trust each other, they are not going to be willing to engage in constructive debate about key issues, which may cause them to make the wrong decisions. The strength of the team lies in the ability to debate so they can solve problems and accomplish goals. Conflict is part of everyday life. It's through conflict that they will learn to solve their issues. Managing conflict is the hardest thing a manager has to do. But as the CEO, Catherine had no choice. In this book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, Patrick Lencioni makes a case that in order for a team to maximize its effectiveness, it must engage in productive conflict. Teams that fear conflict waste time and energy, ignore controversial topics, fail to hear all opinions and views of the team, talking behind each other's back. There are 2 types of conflict. There's artificial conflict, which is where there is no conflict at all. Nobody wants to say anything. Everybody wants to just go along. Mean-spirited personal attack, which would be like rolling of the eyes, popping your lip, rolling your neck, things that some people would think would be offensive. Teams that engage in conflict have meetings that are lively and interesting. They solve real problems quickly. They put critical issues on the table to discuss, and they minimize politics. In order to move past politics, you have to be open. You have to speak openly and honestly about the real and important issues and being willing to challenge one's own way of thinking. The third dysfunction of a team is lack of commitment. With no conflict, a team will have a hard time committing to decisions. Member feels like they are not being heard. They miss important deadlines because too much time was spent analyzing data and options. The lack of clear direction and commitment can make the team disgruntled and not want to be there. Commitment is an important part of trust. Every team member should commit to helping teammates meet the goals of the team. They should be able to rely on one another without fail. A team that fails to commit will lack confidence and fear of failure. They miss deadlines, second guess decisions, revisit discussions repeatedly. A team that commits will have clarified expectations, set deadlines, make sure company goals are clear, and learn from their mistakes. The fourth dysfunction of a team is the avoidance of accountability. Team members resent one another for not living up to expectations. They don't challenge one another. The need to avoid being discomfort prevents teams from holding one another accountable for their behaviors. When teams don't commit to a clear plan and hesitate to call out their peers on actions or behaviors, they are not productive, and they are not a good team. A team that avoids accountability has resentment. They don't hold a member responsible for their actions. They miss deadlines, and they place undue burden on the leader. An accountable team will ensure that the poor performers feel pressure to improve, identifies potential problems quickly by questioning each other. They respect one another's roles. They reward team, not individual achievements. The fifth and final dysfunction of a team is inattention to results. Team members will put their own needs ahead of the goals of the team where they are not being held accountable. They are focusing on highlighting their own achievements. A team that has inattention to results, the company stagnates and fails to grow. They don't win the competitors. They lose talented team members. They're easily distracted. Team members are encouraged to focus on their career. When they focus on results, they keep achievement-oriented employees. They minimize individualistic behaviors. They enjoy success and suffer failures accurately, and they avoid distractions. Remember that a roll of the dice does not make a good team, but putting in time and effort will pay off if you train the right team. Darniece Brown.